Okay, we are live. Get in here. Get in here. You guys see the title? Long time no see. You already know. It's your tech princess, your favorite host. Welcome to another exclusive edition of Crowns and Tea with your favorite mean girl, your fabulous, most sweetest tech princess. Envy me greatly, baby. You heard me. And that was djbeats.com. Thank you. So you guys see the title. This is a pre-recorded video. Well, audio. I have to audio. Brainwashing, bewitching, cherry picking slavery. You are officially tuned into Crowns and Tea podcast. What lines do you draw when it comes to self-inflicted oppression will be in the eyes of the beholder? Okay? Cut it. Let's jump right into it, you guys. So, cherry picking slavery. Majority of individuals were and are still in uproars when they hear sentences uttered in relation to slavery being a choice. Keep in mind their primary focus perhaps is mainly geared towards involuntary physical entrapment. If correct, obviously in that context, when any individual is held against their will, absent of voluntary submission, slavery is not a choice. You can use human trafficking, for example. It is 2022. It doesn't take rocket science to see physically restraining individuals against their will is criminal and illegal. All right? This is a given. This we know. Moving along. When it comes to incarceration and other voluntary forms of slavery, for the most part, you will hear crickets. That's what you'll hear, you guys. It'll just be like crickets. Ask them to elaborate and it'll be crickets. Individuals for so many centuries pick up on learned behaviors such as inflicting detrimental mental and psychological oppression upon themselves. For so many decades, individuals were programmed to believe they were actual slaves or were subjected to being held captive against their will. If you ask them who their oppressors are, they most often say, you know what they say? They say the white man. That's what they say. Oh, that's okay. And when they're not pointing the finger at the white man, then they're pointing the fingers at productive black men who are productive citizens in society. Make it make sense. Ask them for a name to identify the subject, i.e. the white man. And most likely you will hear further crickets, basically. You will hear further crickets. Cut it. If you ask them what slave ship or banana boat they were brought to America in, once again, you will hear crickets. Cut it. Two arguments are generally presented when it comes to this FBA.ADL. We don't get into it because I'm not a part of that in-group. Two arguments that you'll generally hear presented is one, there are African Americans who are taken away from their motherland. Make it make sense. This is why history, DNA, genealogy, and all that stuff underneath the sun, stars, and the moon. This is why that's important. I was about to use a word, but we're not getting into fancy jargon, so I corrected myself. Two, they are indigenous. I cannot, that word is just good. You can tell what words are not in my vocabulary. Indigenous. helped build America and were stripped of their 40 acres and a mule. Ask for titles of ownership and or deeds, and it's also crickets, you guys. Make it make sense. It's crickets. We're going to drop the bomb because it's absolutely... And we always put in disclaimers, which are counter responses, and saying that this does not remove rare exceptions as it pertains to individuals' property or land rights and or ownership being stripped away, or individuals making decisions to forfeit or sell their lands for pennies on the dollar. And I'm pretty sure a lot of individuals can relate to that. When individuals inherit certain type of things, so they don't know what to do with it. They're not used to paying real bills. They're not used to paying property taxes. That I don't know why the fuck we got to do that anyway. Look, that's a whole different conversation. And they'll just let the land sit. They won't even sit up there and tend to the lawn, tend to the land. So there are rare exceptions. You guys can relate to that, okay? And so can many other individuals. So these basic decisions are correlated to reparation arguments, the two that I've stated. I know it seemed like it's more than that, but I combined them saying that they're indigenous slaves and helped build America and they were stripped of the land and they came from, I mean, it's just too much word salad going on. But those basic discussions are correlated to reparation arguments and saying that groups of FBA or ADOS have been co-opted in which both sides fail to present valid claims and or arguments. This is for their subscribers or their base or individuals who contribute to their cause, whatever that cause is, because I am still confused and baffled at this point in time and space. So both sides fail to present valid claims, reasonable and or logical arguments based upon facts or actual historical events. What is for sure, when it comes to being on code, both sides have stuck to codes of setting their base and or audience up as they basically make empty investments, which yields zero results, zero returns. And their base also engage in learned helplessness. Because then they're looking for other sides of the aisle to throw them something mister. Both sides have lined their pockets and greased their oily hands. Their audience hold on to false hope. So once again, what does that have to do with productive black or white men? Both sides have lined their pockets. This is what they learn, you guys. It's been like this for over 200 years. And as they line their pockets, their audience, i.e. their fan base, their groups, never ever ask nor demand presentations nor physical walkthroughs of the dwellings that they proclaim to have purchased when it comes to so-called projects being underway and or under construction, basically. So, cut it. Make it make sense. And the black people on YouTube know we're getting at. Individuals say that they're doing museums. Individuals say they're doing this. Individuals say they're building their own black schools. Have you walked into the schools? Have you walked into any dwelling to see whether or not projects are truly and actually underway or under construction? Have you asked for paperwork as it pertains to individuals indicating that they are investors and they're not? Crowdfunding is not investing. And you know that with all the word salad going on, individuals know that their counterparts are financially illiterate. So that's why they can pull the wools over their eyes, but they cannot play that with real investors. They can't play it with anyone who wants a real return, basically. We're not going to get into that because that's no longer our issue. So things have been settled, which is why we don't speak about all that. We're just begging a question as to if the white man is so much the root of all of your social issues, and we're not saying that white people are perfect. Did you put your money in a white man's hand? Did the white man lie to you and say that he was going to build you some black schools? That's what I'm getting at. Did the white man say that you are a part owner in a building or property? Y'all, this is comical. For centuries, only one particular group invests in false hope and or empty symbolism as they become hyped up and hypnotized by empty messages. Empty messages. Yep. Word salads make nice for speeches, but ask them about any end games and or returns in regard to false promises. Word salads have always been the easy go-to for poverty pimps who manage and currently manage to speak good game. Mental and psychological programming in relation to voluntarily subjecting yourself to self-inflicted oppression and or inferiority is one of many fashions plantations have consistently managed to control. They're voluntary slaves. They're voluntary slaves, yeah. Cut it. Pull off the white sheets or the capes, and what is presented to you will be blackface. Let's call a spade a spade. It has been like that for ages, decades, centuries. When they control your minds, they control your thoughts and or emotions. And then they can also use certain things to distract you. They've been doing this for over 200 plus years. For those who even care to exhibit any sense of human emotions for that matter, because, you have a lot of individuals, they're not capable of expressing emotions, and when they do, it's fake, fraudulent, and phony. You control the thoughts and emotions of the sheep and zombies when you can control the man, and we use the word man very loosely, because real men do not go running around, running amok, or whatever, blaming all of society for his shortcomings and or his failures. So the moment you begin to think for yourselves in which to rely upon basic common sense and critical thinking, you become public enemy number one. The moment you love yourselves unconditionally and unapologetically, they attempt to label you as arrogant, racist, coon, boule, too big for your britches, obnoxious, and or conceited. How you doing, Jordan Peterson? He didn't say that, but we using it as a placeholder. Cut it. Who is they? Simply take a look around you in the YouTube streets, i.e., one of many constructs of metaverse. In correlating the YouTube streets to your immediate social environments, various social constructs are apparent and on its face. All you have to do is take a look around. They used to be on Backpage. Modern day, you have street corners or in a basically railroad tracks. They used to be, on Backpage. Modern day, you have virtual access to what is now known as OnlyFans. You have the round tables of misogynistic pigs who call themselves or relate to themselves as red-pilled men. Take that very loosely because these clowns, not all of them, but most of them, are most likely addicted to sex. Modern day, majority refer to themselves as quote-unquote relationship coaches. Ask them to show you their counterparts if they even have any, and it's crickets. They spread falsehoods about what a woman should be, which size a woman should wear, as if they ever stepped into the minds or the shoes of a real motherfucking woman. Cut it. Especially those who aren't here for the bullshit, basically. Keep calm because clowns in metaverse, i.e. social media, can't get away disrespecting real men nor women in reality as they do on social media. You have your brainwashed hotep creep worshippers who are nothing more or nothing less than urban pygmies. And these are the urban females, you guys. Then you have the clowns' counterparts. They're their partners in crime. It doesn't take rocket science to figure that out. Each side of the artificial gender wars generally work the opposite side, i.e. the sex, females and males. Their end games are consistent and basic at best. They're all the same. The longer their base, i.e. audience, waddle within self-hatred, become programmed into believing they are not worthy, the more monies they can collect. If poverty pimps, hoteps, and urban female pygmies were truly about promoting healthy relationships or marriages, they wouldn't tear each other down in the midst of trying to get their points across. Or they wouldn't belittle their own audience on a consistent and daily basis. Mental slavery in this and various other retrospects is, in fact, a choice. Individuals have free will and can choose to fall for brainwashing, pseudo-backward psychology. They can choose to enter dark twilight zones, dive down deep rabbit holes, dark rabbit holes at that, deep dark rabbit holes, which lights are never at the end of any tunnels. Or they can choose how to rethink and relearn in order to get to a place of breaking the toxic cycles and loving themselves once again. Lifelong generational toxic cycles cannot be broken with magic wands. The government cannot break these cycles, nor can the nice word salad do it. Because self-love is innate, you guys. At the end of the day, it takes hard work to truly move towards organic progression and genuine change, and it starts with you. Ultimately, it begins with understanding yourself, recognizing your weaknesses as well as your strengths. It also takes being being aware and mindful. No humans are perfect. In any event, you have pimps trying to tell you how to be a woman. Meanwhile, they generally promote hoes. You have hoes who attempt to step outside of their league and chastise you and tell you how to be feminine or how to be a submissive woman. Make it make sense. It's the audacity, absolute tomfoolery, and pure fuckery for me. I don't know about you. What about you? Cut it. Nevertheless, it is very comical. Mental slavery in any form are voluntary choices made by individuals who cannot manage their own lives or toxic lifestyles, which is why only hoes need guidance from pimps on how to behave, how to clean themselves, how to think, how to act. I have yet to hear them utter white men specifically were their pimps or slave masters. I'm just saying. Pause it in the middle so we can get some real, sound effects going on. I'm just saying. Black women's duties do not consist of playing mammies to these hoes, these urban pygmies, these clowns, these Jezebels, or the urban pimps that they worship. Black men's duties do not consist of providing rules over hoes' heads nor putting bacon on the motherfucking table. Yep. That's what we're going to get to the real one. Hoes or poverty pimp worshippers be asking who gonna save or protect them. The black community is not coming running amok. I don't know, perhaps find crackheads since it's non-stop chatter about fuck the police and fuck competent essential workers who were not put into positions to be your walking mats nor your motherfucking punching bags. Make that make sense. Cut it. Take your anger and frustration directly out on those, including your parents, who cause you actual physical pain or emotional anguish. Instead, they attempt to redirect their anger and their bitterness towards all men. In any event, being a lifelong whore is definitely voluntary decisions that are made, thus making mental and or physical slavery a motherfucking choice under circumstances they submit themselves, and they also consent to any given types and forms of abuse. Next, we will get into revolving doors and incarceration. That's when you get into the physical side of the slavery. We will briefly speak about how consistently making continuous bad decisions and how it leads to voluntary physical servitude, basically. In the context of incarceration, that is, keep in mind there are rare exceptions which are excluded from these discussions. Rare exceptions are those who adapt to being productive members of society without shifting blame on society for their past bad decisions and actions which led to their incarceration. For much too long, individuals were taught via learned behaviors. For much too long, plenty of excuse after excuse after excuse is generally made, you guys, because what do they promote on the plantations? Lack of personal responsibility, lack of any type of morality and or accountability. The aftermath and results of toxic generational dysfunction is here in these YouTube street starlings. That's why all they can do is discuss social ills. They can discuss problems all day long. Ask them to discuss a solution. Ask them, do they apply solutions to the real worlds in which they live? And it will be crickets. If you do not take away or learn anything simply from listening to toxic echo chambers and destructive frequencies, you can definitely learn who to avoid networking with and or doing business with. You can definitely learn to avoid toxic individuals who speak easily about any given types of problems, unnecessary social ills, and issues whilst they struggle with providing logical and sound solutions. Yes, God forbid. God forbid, you know what I'm saying? No, let's get back to this part. They're aware about the solutions. They are socially mindful to some extent. But if they provide tangible recommendations and solutions to their audience or their fan base, individuals' ideologies, in a way they will begin to go through some type of shift to actually be productive, to promote organic progression and genuine change. God forbids if this occur, because their end games truly consist of keeping their audience traumatized, you guys. Keeping them contained and underneath detrimental psychological programming and brainwashing. Toxic trauma bonding is the easy go-to for the sheep who fear walking on their own 10 toes and 2 feet. Fear being the black sheep to stand for something rather than falling for nothing. Fear the mere thought of using their own free will and their human minds, and a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Sheep make voluntary decisions to subject themselves to toxic mind control because most are too lazy when it comes to thinking for thyself. It's easier to be a part of the go along, get along game because within their detrimental quote unquote utopias, they are free to be a part of, you know what I'm saying, always shifting constant blame towards everyone else in society without pointing a finger at themselves and without having to worry about having their feet held to the fire. They can all agree on having the exact same oppressor, quote unquote, despite most false claims are figments of their imagination due to the fact they hardly ever interact or engage socially with other groups of people. Quite frankly, you cannot mix hard workers with zombies who are too lazy mentally and physically to go into the working fields. It's like mixing oil and water. Most attempt to make you feel guilty for having any given types of success, no matter large or small. On the other hand, they also feel as though they can force or bully taxpayers into involuntary charity. Taxpayers, i.e. consumers, no matter the socioeconomics or the tax brackets, are not your personal piggy banks, walking mats, punching bags. Okay? That's the part that they're missing. That's the part that they don't miss it, you guys. Sound the fucking alarm. Yes, it sounds like war. They want it today, tomorrow, or yesterday. Because that's what it seems like. They want war. Cut it. When individuals are capable of discussing how their civil and human rights were violated, they still refuse to label themselves as motherfucking slaves. Which is why they push back against any form of tyranny. And keeping in mind, a tyranny is artificial, you guys. That's why we have bones to pick with a civilian information technology specialists. And I put that in tough air quotes. God knows it will be a bloody, bloody, bloody civil war when enough sheep and zombies attempt to exert involuntary physical slavery against freed men and women, no matter the motherfucking creed, basically. Okay? Can I get an amen? Hallelujah? Something? Okay, you guys, so we are 30 minutes in. You see the title, Brainwashing, Bewitching, Cherry Picking Slavery. You are officially tuned into Crowns and Tea podcast, that is, with your favorite mean girl, your fabulous, my sweetest tech princess, envy me greatly. Probably suspended and permanently banned from Twitter, in case you guys didn't know. Now you know. What lines do you draw when it comes to self-inflicted oppression? That is the Q&A for today. You heard me. All right. Y'all already know what you gotta do. If you know the routine, now you gotta go. And I got a jet. Yeah. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, thoughtful, motherfucking Thursday. You dig. We'll be back. I say be back. We'll be back, you guys. I got tongue tied and tongue twisted for a second. Brainwashing, bewitching, cherry picking slavery. Once again, what lines do you draw when it comes to self-inflicted oppression? Could have freed more if they realized they were slaves, huh? We're going to talk about different forms of mental and physical and or psychological slavery that individuals basically subject themselves to. Let me tone this down a little bit. In actual fact, I'm going to cut it off. They subject themselves to because it's too much like right to learn how to rethink and relearn, basically. Now, I'm going to tell you something about learned helplessness. You see it in the YouTube streets. Some of you may see it around you in your when you interact or engage with certain types of individuals. And keeping in mind, you never want to place individuals into one box, because I'm from New Orleans, 3344 Pleasant Street. These are your projects, i.e. Ghost Town to be exact. And that's why individuals they probably 9 times out of 10 always thought or assumed that I was indoctrinated. So as far as like being a black sheep, even when it comes to academia, that was me. And if it's you, it's perfectly okay to be different. It's perfectly okay to be an individual. It's perfectly okay to be yourself. It's perfectly okay to think for yourself, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And obviously you can tell this was an impromptu or whatever. This is pre-recorded. I'm still stumbling, still trying to get back into the mode because it's been a minute for me. The videos that you guys were able to see drop, those are pre-recorded podcasts. So I just like to make that disclaimer, because sometimes the individuals will have their audience sitting in a chat waiting for them and they never show up. So never expect me to be waiting in a chat or whatever. Sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm off or whatever. I just like to make that be known, because I like to use disclaimers because I think it's imperative, basically, you guys. All right. So I'm about to get ready to do another podcast, basically. That episode is not going to drop today. It's not going to drop today, but it will be complete by today. Shout out to individuals who are curators. Shout out to you if you're an inventor, a real developer, okay, a real programmer. Shout out to you if you're a real entrepreneur without having to, you know what I'm saying, force charity. When I say that, I'm talking about people who try to make people invest in shady ass projects, basically. Shout out to you if you are a real creative writer and you write for yourself and you pick up your stick, bitch. I.e. pick up the pen, okay? Shout out to you if you are doing the very best that you can and you don't have to blame all of society for your shortcomings, or you don't have to blame other individuals because you feel as though they were born with silver spoons in their mouths, basically. Shout out to you, especially if you love yourselves, no matter the color and or creed. This has been a special impromptu brainwashing, bewitching, cherry picking slavery, hosted by Envy Me Greatly. Nah, I got a jet. Bye.